I can do, mate, if you want. Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome to, well, I imagine it's going to be an action-packed version of our episode of Berardi and Coke, I suppose. There's probably lots and lots to talk about. I mean, to start with, I'm not overly fussed about the result. I mean, with the team we put out, Gilly, I know we're going to get onto it in a minute, but how do you feel like in just a couple of words about it?
I don't even think I need words. It's just
Nah.
It's a competition that before the game I thought, you know what, we can kind of do without this. And then game starts and you think, no, fuck that, I want to win this, especially against them scummers. But it's a competition we could do without. We need, you know.
We're not going to win it, are we? We're never going to win it.
We're not going to win it. We're not going to win it. And it is awful because just before we got promoted and then in promotion season, I was saying, well, we could do without cups because promotion's our only aim. And then in Premier League, and I was going, yeah, I'm really worried. We just need to focus on staying up. And now we're back in a position of we just need to get promoted. It's almost like we don't get to enjoy any at cups.
I mean,
I don't care about that competition. I just don't care.
Let's run an intro and we'll get into it a bit more.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Orta Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
You look like fucking Brolin, you're a Leeds eating bastard.
Look like some sort of fucking weird floating head. No.
He's a utensil player a bit, innit?
I mean, I feel a bit right, dickhead.
Nothing spectacular, really.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I'm already having it out with some people, but on Twitter, anybody who's on Twitter probably follows me because I've already seen there's some guy called a pub reviewer who's just giving me shit because he says I'm fat and unfit because I said Strike's a good player. And look, Strike made a mistake for the first header, but Matt Smith is going to outclimb the majority of any footballer on a football field in the air. Look, Strike got it wrong. He mistimed it. He made a mistake. But other than that, it was a solid centre-back. And he's been our best defender through the start of the season for me. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Let's start with that, Gilly.
And that's not his first goal at season either.
It's not.
He's been effective in attack when we've got set pieces. Yeah, you're right. He made a mistake for their goal. But he was given armband tonight, and I thought that he dealt with that pressure, probably, because I think the only time I remember him wearing the armband before that, he had a bit of a mare. He had a bit of a stinker. But I really find it difficult that the people that I've only just now, because I ignore Twitter while I'm watching a game if I can, but so I'd only just seen it just now. We're almost reveling in the fact that we got beaten and they could kind of say "I told you so" about Strike. It's just a bit weird.
It is. It's honestly, it's a sad state of affairs that we get in on. I mean, social media is guilty of it. You know, when you go to a pub after a game, it's not the same. If you'd have been to the game today and we'd been in the pub afterwards, people who go to the game have a general chat about it. They'll say Strike was good, Strike was shit, but you wouldn't then start getting to nasties and start calling people names. You know what I mean? But it's a sad state of affairs when you can go on social media now and just start basically just calling somebody out. Wait until the end of the game. Wait until the result of the penalties, and then saying "told you so" in a fashion. So look, you're a dickhead, mate, and you know where I am anytime. So fucking leave it at that. Anyway,
I bet you everything he's got, he never does.
Yeah, I bet you he doesn't as well. I bet he's just another one of them. But yeah, look, I thought we could have done with the momentum, couldn't we? Going off the back of that cracking result of the weekend, going into Wednesday are obviously shit, so I expect a similar type of game plan from Wednesday on Saturday as well. We could have done with that momentum, and when I saw the lineup, I was a little bit tentative, shall we say, with would I be risking Archie Gray in this? And we want to sort of maybe limit his minutes going into the rest of the season. We haven't got that many central defensive midfield or holding midfield options out there that can do their job. Started with some relatively good options in the starting lineup. As far as you look at it, there was some class in that starting lineup, and I felt, I don't know what your first thoughts was. It was either going to be a shithouse loss, penalties, or 1-0 loss, or we were going to smash them 5 or 6-0. Now, either of those things could have happened tonight. You look at the statistics. What were your thoughts when you first saw the team?
Yeah, obviously, there were 6 changes.
I've lost you.
Oh dear. And again,
It's my end, I think, mate. I'll just have to put you through computer. Sorry.
I'll keep talking, and you can let me know when I'm back. Hopefully, everybody else can still hear me. I think just looking at the lineups or looking at what were going on, I think there were 6 changes, and I think this is the opportunity to play Darlow. The fact that Darlow came in, I think that was fair. He needs some minutes. He needs some involvement in the matches. But so I thought he was right to play before the game, at least. And again, Cresswell's another one that I was looking for to get minutes. Shelder, one I was looking at, I wasn't entirely sure. And Joffrey was another one I wanted to have a decent run. So I think when you get down to the starting lineup, there should have been plenty in it, more than enough in it to get us through a game like that. And I think if you look at the stats, that tells that story. I think the other side to it is it also tells the story of the fact that we're not clinical enough, and we absolutely knew that, and that's why we were crying out for the Pirro.
Yeah, and look, we missed that, and I think that is a massive part of who we are going to be and our identity under Farke is having that focal point up front, and somebody who Rutter looked a different player without. I mean, Rutter still played all right for me, but he looked a completely different player. He looked devoted. He didn't have much confidence in Joffrey. Playing off Joffrey. Where does Joffrey fit into this for you? He's clearly a talented boy, clearly talented, but he's 5'9". He's not big enough to throw himself around defenders and lead the line. He's almost not creative enough to play in behind. Where do we stand with him? Because he's clearly a talented boy, but I just think he's missing a couple of dynamics to make him successful at this level.
It's a tough one for me because I think to be his size, you have to be clinical. You have to be right place, right time. If you look at the smaller players that have had success, and you look at Marcus Stewart, Kevin Phillips, Ian Wright, that's that sort of build, because he is that sort of build. He's got a little bit about him. I know he's a bit slimmer now because when he was first bought, he'd been in Wigan and he'd been having a few too many pies. And he's got, but his shoulders are a bit bigger, and he's got a bit more strengthy looks about him. But those players that I just reeled off there were all kind of that size, but all had amazing seasons of scoring lots and lots of goals. I think, but the other side to things is they also had the luxury of playing when we had a standard 4-4-2 in just about every team. And they had a big man alongside them, and you don't get that now. You don't get 2 playing up top in a side that wants to dominate a game. We've heard Farke talking about he wants to dominate possession. He wants 100% possession. That's what the aiming point is, knowing that he's never going to get 100%, but that he wants to dominate teams and he wants to have the ball. So you're not going to get 2 up front, because if you play 2 up front, you get dominated in midfield. So we're never, ever going to have that position.
I think the game's changed a lot since then, hasn't it, as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, little and large, your Teddy Sheringham and SOS and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I completely get that. I mean, I think that's probably a fair assessment, and I think that's probably where we're going to be a little bit lost with Joffrey. I think if we missed a focal point, a Pirro who can move about and he can drop short, and his movements seem great at the weekend. I know we've seen very little of him, but from what he did at Swansea as well, he doesn't necessarily stand as a centre forward. He almost plays a bit of a false 9, and we saw him interchanging with Joffrey. But somebody said in the comments there, I don't know where it was, but something along the lines of, there we go, yeah, Charlie. Says Pirro says, dare I say, even a fully fit Bamford would have won that by 6 or 7, and it was missing that one. A clinical. I mean, Bamford hasn't been overly clinical, but somebody who could have been on the end of almost anything. Those ifs and buts, and Joffrey was just ineffective for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you are right, because he seems to be being deployed in that 10. He doesn't have quite enough about him in terms of nous and just getting that. That edge that Archie Gray's got when he's got the ball, he gets himself that 2-3 yards. He's got really quick feet, can not beat a man, but put a man off balance and then just glide past him.
Yeah,
I think you either need that or you need the passing range of a Pablo. And I don't think it's daft to make that comparison, because from a Pablo perspective, he will play in the Championship. when he was really, really effective for us. So I'm not saying that I think Gelhardt is or needs to be a Pablo. What I'm saying is you either need to be in a position where you can offset your man, unbalance him, and get yourself some space that way, or you need to be a killer passer of a ball, or you need to be able to really read the game well. I don't see any of those three, and I don't think he's marksman enough to play that role on his own, because he's not somebody that's going to dominate defence. He's not going to pull them all over. When we saw Bamford when he was really flying, he properly bullied defenders, and he was scoring goals, but actually his absence hurt us more in that occupying the opposition defence than him scoring the goals, because we had some goals in the rest of the team. So I am struggling to see, and it's not just at us either. I don't see, unfortunately, I don't see him making big strides in the game. We all were really hopeful for him when he came in, and you know what? When he were being brought on as a sub, I was one of those ones screaming for him to come on and getting really excited about the fact he was coming on, because he looked excited, he got on the ball, and he did make a difference. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's that he was raw and a little bit of coaching's taken some of that rawness and that edginess away from him. I don't know what it is, but he's lost something, and he doesn't have. Maybe that'll come with experience, but I don't see a spot for him anywhere near our starting 11 at least for some time.
No, where are you with him then? Do you think he needs another loan, maybe at a Championship side? I think he did all right at Sunderland. Didn't pull up any trees last season. Do we think he needs a loan lower than that? Maybe with Sonny Perkins down in League One.
Well, I was surprised that it were him. It were Perkins and not Joffrey that went, because when you look at our options at the point at which he went out, and we'd not signed Pirro at that time, I don't think. I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, Joseph and fucking hell, we've just said his name and name's gone. Perkins. The two of them had been smashing it in under 21s. So you're thinking, right, okay, well, Bamford's injured again. We've not signed another striker. Joffrey doesn't appear to be doing the job. We're not in a position where we're blessed with lots of strikers. So one of them's going to step up, and then you think, well, Joseph's now got poorly or got injured or whatever it was. So it's right, okay, well, we've got one recognised number 9. Here's your chance to shine.
Yeah.
Oh, you've gone on loan. And it would just, hang on a minute, that doesn't seem... Now, I know that there must have been some real confidence in getting Pirro over the line, but still, that seemed a strange decision at that time with everything else going on. So clearly, he's not somebody that features highly in the plans. But for me, he were ahead of Joffrey. And he would have played, and then Ruta would have played deeper tonight if you'd have still been playing him, because you'd have played him off a 9, which I think Ruta needs.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Just to go back, let's go back just to the actual overall performance. I don't really remember anybody really having a bad game. And it's a weird one, because if we look at the statistics, we had 33 shots, we had 71% possession, 33 shots, only 9 of those on target, 11 of which were 11 blocked shots and 13 off target. I mean, that's incredible in itself. It sort of goes to show that the result doesn't reflect the performance, and it was almost what would be determined or used as and explained as a smash and grab. I tweeted those stats out and said, one day my kids are going to have to explain to my grandkids how Salford knocked us out of the cup tonight, and it's going to be near impossible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's almost impossible to find any poor performances. I don't think anybody was. I think if there was one, I think Joffrey was ineffective, but I don't think anybody was poor out there tonight.
No, I would agree with that. I think you're right. Joffrey was ineffective. I thought Hjelde could have done a lot more. When you look at what Shaq were doing, and he were overlapping, and he was. I mean, I know he's an Energizer Bunny. He's the closest we got to Alioski, because he'll just fucking run all night.
Yeah.
But so he's difficult to compare when Hjelde's kind of a centre-back, full-back, whereas Shaq's more of a midfielder stroke full-back. So he does have that energy to him, but I didn't think he offered much in attack. But we are Darlow wasn't called upon much. and you're
No.
looking for him to make a difference in the penalties, and he didn't. But do you know what? That's really harsh as well, because he got his hand to one. I would hoping that his experience would come to the fore and he'd be able to make a difference in the shootout, and he didn't. So it was more hope than expectation. But naming those 3 players there, I think would be. I am being really harsh.
Yeah,
because you're looking for somebody that's had a bad performance rather than actually sticking out.
Yeah. I think a word's got to go out to Alex Cairns as well, ex-Leeds United. Outstanding game, and by far and away the best player on the pitch overall. I think he probably got man of the match. I mean, I'm assuming he probably did.
I would be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. Did he play a handful of games or one or two games?
I think
for
they
us?
said in commentary it was 1. He played 1 game for us. But yeah, I think he's still elite. I came through. He were a ball boy for us, wasn't he?
Yeah, he came through the youth.
Yeah,
I think he's from Sheffield or Donny or Rotherham or something like that. But look, took it to a whole new level, and that ultimately was the difference between the sides, because we probably should have ramped that home, and I think that's probably why I'm not too disheartened and I'm not too angry and I'm not too upset. I mean, the momentum would have been fantastic, going into Sheff Wednesday on Saturday, off the back of 2 wins against top of the league and then mini scum, and it would have been nice. But look, it's the magic of the cup, and if we're truly sensible and honest about it, we could probably do without another round of that cup, to be fair, over the course of a season.
I think the worst thing about tonight, on a night that we've been beat, the worst thing about tonight, we're seeing those scummers happy. You weren't being beat.
Yeah.
We were just seeing the scummers being happy. That was the bit that.
And it'll be the text from other clubs fans telling us that was shit and how did you lose and all this bollocks, and then people won't have even watched it and then all looked at the statistics and then they're just seen that we got beat on penalties. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just seeing them smug bastards.
In the comment there. Ken's from Donny, still out scout coaching at schools.
Yeah, good bloke. And that's right. Ken's came on for a chubka. That's it. When we were getting tongued to Blackpool.
Yeah. Danny, I was just seeing that. Danny Rumsey had said the same. Played in the game where he had a howler.
Yeah, he got fucking lynched, didn't he? I mean, just a couple of things to take out of it. I mean, the penalties, some great penalties, some worse penalties, but the worst penalty of that came from arguably man of the match from Saturday, who had again an okay game tonight, but it was ineffective without a proper 9 up there. Was Georgie Rutter? How bad was that fucking penalty?
Do you know what I mean, on the face of it, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But what I think he's done, he's looking at Cairns there and he's waiting for him to move, and he just didn't.
Yeah,
and Cairns has just psyched him out. He's just beaten him at that.
Yeah,
and Rutter's played it as though he can just wait for Cairns to move and then go, and therefore actually he's not fully set, don't fully know where the ball's going to go. He's going to go one side or the other. That's it. Whereas you look at, I mean, I said in our group chat, I shit myself when Shelder steps up. Absolutely shit him because
I shit myself when half of them stepped up.
But his were perfect. But what I said just as he was stepping us up is, I'd have sent Cresswell up there and told him to fucking smash it, and that's what he did.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think there was a bad penalty. Yeah, all right. You look at Shaqs and you think, well, he's gone slightly too high. Clearly, he didn't want it. He was our last penalty taker before keeper. So clearly, he didn't fancy it anyway. And he's hit the bar. It happens, but he's stepped up and he's hit it hard and tried to get on target. Rutter's just looks completely ineffectual, doesn't it? When you try and be smart about it and it don't come off. The mess up with Henry and Perez, wasn't it? Where they were trying to come out with it and it didn't work.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've seen a couple of people in the comments. I hope that doesn't affect Rutter too much, because other than that, he had a relatively good game. I mean, he wasn't nowhere near as good as he was on Saturday, but he was all right. And I mean, look, we've got to take into account the level of their opposition. They're a League 2 side, and I think they're pretty low in the league as well. So sort of probably a good 50, 60 positions below us in terms of league places. But we all know what it's like in these cup games, and Leeds United are renowned for it. Everybody wants to beat Leeds United, regardless of level. Adding the whole, class of Yeah, especially them. And I mean, I know we beat them. Did we beat them 4-1 a couple of years back when Berardi score against them?
Yeah, Berry scored, didn't he? I can't remember the scoreline, but they
I
showed
can't
it
remember
beforehand, didn't they?
But yeah, I mean, look, let them have it. Let them enjoy their night and let them, let them have it. I think that there's going to be far more important games this season that we're going to.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I've lost your audio now. You've put yourself on mute. You've put yourself on mute. You've muted yourself. Oh, no, you're unmuted now. Can I hear you now? No.
Ow.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, fucking honestly. Yeah, well, exactly, Lindsay. It's a shit cup. We move on. Look, we don't want to lose to teams like this. We don't want to be knocked out because we're going to be the laughing stock for the next few days in the pub and whatever else through text. But all in all, man, it's probably indirectly done us a bit of a favour. I mean, that's why I to play a younger squad and certainly be resting players like Ampadu and Gray and Willie and Sinny. We could have done without him coming on, I think, as well. But yeah, man. Look, in terms of good performances, then I thought there was quite a few out there and a few surprises as well. Who was your man of the match out of interest?
I think probably more for energy than quality. I'd probably go Shaq because I felt that his ability to overlap, his ability to get back and defend. He was the one that was staying back every time we're having a corner, and they were looking to break every time, and he handled that well. He stepped into midfield when that was needed. He put some good crosses in. He was getting in front of Willie. He did pretty well there after Willie switched across at right. I think I'd probably go with him with a hat nod also to Archie Gray.
Yeah, Archie Gray. I mean, the expectation is so high with Archie now, isn't it? He's just set the bar so high that we expect it from him now. But there's no doubting that he's a class above, isn't he? He's just so good. And playing next to Ampadu, I said it on Joe's whenever I was on with Joe the other day, but they just complement each other so well. And I saw somebody in one of the chat groups I'm in tonight said he's going to be much better than Calvin. I mean, I think arguably he's better than Calvin, much better than Calvin was at his age anyway. Whether he'll continue that trajectory of getting better and improvement, but let's hope so. But just to go back to the pens and the good performances. So Shaq was my man of the match as well. But just to go back to, I mean, he cannot let that penalty miss affect him now. I don't think he will. I think he's.
I don't think he will.
I think he's quite a determined type character. He reminds me of. I mean, I'm not going to suggest that he's ever going to be as good as, but he reminds me of James Milner in the way that he plays and just his energy and his, the way he gets about the field and the things that he does. Obviously, he's not got a range of passing probably like Milner, but it's. I mean, do you think that's a fair comparison, or am I being way out here?
I mean, I've got to be honest. I was trying to piece that together in my head because I thought you were talking about Ruta at first, and then you must have gone back to Shaq.
No, back to Shaq. Sorry, yeah,
right.
The penalty miss.
That really puzzled me for a second. I think the thing with Milner is it's his longevity that's made him the player that he is in it, and the fact he's looked after himself and the fitness level.
Where he's done it.
Yeah, it is. Because at the same point, there were people talking about Eddie White in the same breath. Similar build, very slim, very energetic. And you look at where one's gone, and I don't even know where the other went. But he's shorter, he's a bit stockier. But I can see where you're coming from in terms of the energy. But it's a difficult one, that, for me, because I don't think he's got, I said I was giving it man a match for the energy that we're giving and getting it right positions and the work ethic and the will to just keep running and keep running. I don't think he's got the quality to go to that next level. That's my only concern with
No.
it. It's kind of at a crossroads now of if he doesn't make a big season for himself this season, he's probably one of the ones that, if we're successful, he's probably not going to be at the club anymore.
Yeah, fair.
And it is that bit of a crossroads of actually, is this season a season of showing what he can do so that he can get a good move to somebody that hopes to be a promoted side next season so that it can go again in Championship? It's probably a tough one for him because in his heart of hearts, he probably knows that if Leeds are a Premier League club again, he'll either be sold or he'll be put out on loan again. So it's probably quite a difficult situation to find yourself in as a player. But the fact that he can play there, he can fill in midfield if needed. He filled in on the wing. He's not a winger. We know that he's not a winger, but because he's got that work ethic and he is pretty quick with that whip ball and without ball. And he would be able to fill in over on the left if needed. I think he's a useful squad member to have, but for me, he's never going to nail down a place, especially if we start getting people coming into the squad before end of window. But if we start getting people back from injury, he probably doesn't start a game, but he's very useful to have on the bench.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Now, here's a question on Jamie Shack then for you, because I've got my opinion on this. If Jed Spence wasn't joining, which it looks like he is now, would he be our first choice right back at the moment?
I think a lot of it depends on what Farke is asking of them, because I know that Ayling's come under a lot of fire, but he's probably better on the ball and he's probably a better passer. Now, he's not as quick. Maybe once upon a time he was 3 seasons ago when he were at his optimum fitness level. I know Carl was saying he were over the hill 5 years ago, but he doesn't have that same sort of pace and that same sort of ability to just keep running. But he's better on the ball. So I think a lot of it depends on what Farke is asking. If he's saying, I want my wingers on the halfway line when we're first setting up, and I'm looking for Ampadu or Archie Gray to drop into the fullback position when one of them goes forward, I think Ayling's probably better at that, especially if, as we saw against Cardiff, especially if Nonto actually tracks his man and doesn't leave Ayling trying to get back when he doesn't have the pace to do that anymore. So I think a lot of it depends on what's being asked of the defenders. I think if what you're doing is playing a flat 4 and you are looking for your fullbacks to overlap, but you are looking for them to be the ones to get back and defend as well, I think those days are... I think Ayling's beyond those days now. So I think that probably would be a shock. My biggest problem actually in that situation is on the left-hand side because I don't think Helder's the answer. But you are right. With Jed Spence coming in, then I don't expect that to be, I firmly expect him to start each game that he's available for at right back.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But I think the levels of fitness. I think Jamie Shackleton, the similarities I was drawing to him was the fact that he wins all the bleep tests. He returns early. Yeah. He just wins. He's just like you say. He'll just run forever. We've seen Luke timing a bit. When it's getting late, and he'll stay forward and that crossfield ball over the top, that diagonal, and he's caught out sort of quite often with that. Now I don't think Jamie Shackleton gets caught out with as much of that. I don't think he wins as many aerial duels from those crossfield balls.
No, but he's there to compete.
But he's there, yeah.
No, I get that. I do get that.
But just on that then, I've seen a comment here from Fergal Kelly actually. Jed has completed his medical and set sign. Cody won't expect a new deal and can leave on loan or permanent transfer.
Gone again, mate. To be fair, I could tell him that the audio's gone, even if it hadn't, and he wouldn't know, would he? He's muted himself again now.
How about now?
There you go. We'll get there in the end.
Plugging it in and out, man. I think it's actually my computer. It's just losing connectivity. But anyway, just on drama, yeah. So where do we stand on that? Because obviously big things were expected. He got promoted with Luton last season. He was Player of the Year when he was on loan at Cardiff. But he's just not done it for us. And I mean, that to get hooked after 20 minutes at the weekend, and now to bring in an additional right back, surely that's. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it's potentially the end for him. But do you see a player in there, or do you think it's actually he's been overhyped or what?
So I think Shaq is faster and more energetic, and I think Ayling reads a game better and is a better passer of the ball. And therefore, I think we've got people that are better than anything that he does. I said towards the end of last season, I didn't want him to come back. I wanted rid of who's gone already, but I didn't want him to come back. I was like, if Luton are going to give us anywhere in the region of 5 to 10 million, just sell him.
But it also makes you think. It makes you think. Why didn't Luton sign him?
Well, I think they were in for him, weren't they? There was genuine interest there. I think. I mean, you never know what's right and what's not. They might never have come forward with an actual bid for him, but they're still linked with him now. So he might be one of the ones that goes out towards the end of the window. To come on and then get hooked at half time is a really bad sign, and then to not even play in the cup when all he's had is those minutes.
I mean, he was shit the other day when he came on against Ipswich. He was dog shit and put us under pressure for that. In fact, that third goal was their second goal just before half time was all his fault pretty much. There's no one else you can blame for that other than drama. But I think I just find I think there must be something else going on with him. I think there must be an attitude problem, or he thinks he's better than what he is, or something, because nobody's really fancied him. No manager.
No, not the manager. I mean, some of the managers that we've had have had question marks over him, but the two that absolutely I don't think can be questioned, Farkas very early on, but he's handled everything so well that there's nobody could fairly question him right now. Time will be in the telling, but I think right now he's got that space to be able to continue proving himself. And Bielsa, and neither of them have really fancied him, and who are we to say different, really? But even in between all of those managers that we had in between, I've had 6 of them, or however many we had, he's not been fancied. So it is, whether it is a training thing, we heard Farker talk about the level of input at training, and if people weren't training hard enough, they wouldn't play. It could be that. We're just guessing. Maybe it'll come out in time, but it don't look good for him. You're not, especially not getting hooked and then not getting played tonight.
No, I mean, it does signal it, and I think Jed Spence is clearly a good option for us. He got promoted with Forest, did he? I think on loan at Forest. Yeah, it was Forest. Yeah, yeah. There's that famous photo of him sat with a Cuban in there on the bench.
Oh, that's right. With trophy between his sliders.
Yeah. But I mean, look, we seem to be acknowledging all the right areas, and if tonight didn't show anything, it shows that probably, in fact, the course of the season so far probably shows that is probably where we need to strengthen both fullback positions. In terms of our first start and our first 11, what does that mean for left back though for you, and where do we stand on that?
I think if you look at not the answer. I don't think Yelder's the answer. I think that at this level, Firpo probably has a level of capability that could provide an input, but he can't stay fit. So it looks like we're going to struggle to even see that. Dallas is not somebody that can be, I love Stewie D, and he was brilliant for us and a brilliant servant, but nobody can imagine what level he's going to get to, even when he does get back from the injury that he's had. So for me, all right, yeah, we're signing a right back, and that's an important element for us to get. But it almost feels like left back's more important, because between Shaq and Ayling, they're going to do okay. But between Hjelde and an injured Firpo and Struijk that's playing at centre back, it feels like left back's a bigger problem to me than right back.
Yeah, no, it certainly does to me, especially with Byram, who'd been filling in there, being injured. It looks like it could be. I mean, I'm not sure it's been released yet, but
I've not seen any longevity on that at all. No. Has there been nothing said?
Yeah, No, I haven't seen anything. That's what I was getting at. Yeah, no, I haven't
Yeah.
seen any sort of advance on the extent of the injury or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, Coleslaw and Toast hits the nail on the head here. We've not had a good left back for a while, probably since Tony DeRigo. In honesty, let's be fair. But yeah, I think that's probably our most problematic. But certainly on tonight's showing, when you look at Hjelde, probably, you know, if we were going to be harsh and pick out some poor performances, Hjelde probably was one of them at left back. Let's just get through a few of these starred messages that have been coming in, because there's a couple of interesting ones I just wanted to go through. Skip hits the nail on the head, and we've already touched upon it really. Don't care what anyone says, but with that squad, that team we put out tonight, we should have beaten them. We had so many wasted chances. It felt like Leeds United of old, didn't it? It did under you know, under Marcelo.
everyone.
Yeah. When you know, when you go into a game, you have 33 shots on goal and you only bury one of them, and it was the scrappiest chance that we could have had all game, and we, you know, I don't know, I just don't know what to make of it, man.
You know, to be fair, because we've not mentioned it yet, we did hit the woodwork 3 times.
Yeah,
you know, Greenwood was unlucky with his.
Yeah.
Was it Cine, the one that was from the left corner of the box that went across?
Somerville hit the post, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, 3 times hitting the woodwork, you're thinking that's the finest of margins, because on another night, one of them goes in and we go 1-0 up, instead of them going 1-0 up and just sitting back and being that solid structure. It's a really different, they've got to come towards us then, and that's a really different proposition. And I would back, even Rutter, who's not a 9, and Joffrey, who's not a 9, but even with the creativity... But with the creativity that we've got, should I say, with Willie, with Jimmy, Rutter dropping off, because he did play well in the last game, as you said, against Ipswich. And I've been one of his biggest detractors, but he did really play well. He looked like a player. And you can only ascribe that to somebody else taking the pressure of that number 9 position off him. And he was just playing with a bit of I don't know if you agreed with this, but he just looked like he played with a bit of freedom. It looked like a weight had been lifted, and I don't know if that's just because Perrault's there as that main man that he can play off and he can play into, and he knows that actually if he's not scoring the goals, there's somebody there that is a goal threat that's there to get the goals. It wasn't that tonight. He looked to be the goal threat, and I don't think he is that. He's going to score some good goals.
Yeah,
he's not going to score enough goals to be seen as a main goal threat, and I think that's just not. I think we just have to resign ourselves to the fact that that's not his game. You know, he was signed when we were crying out for a 9, but that doesn't make him a 9 just because he was expensive, and that's when he was signed. But I think, you know, if we get our noses in front, the whole complexion of that game is different, and I think we'd have walked away with it. So yeah, I think just on balance, you know, we scored the 1. It was scrappy, but there were 3 very good chances that hit the woodwork. A couple of other, you know, poor efforts. You know, there were a couple that were central in the box and flew over that we should have done better with. But yeah, with 33 chances on another night, we scored 6 or 7 quite easily.
Yeah, and look, fair props to each and every one of their players. You know, there was a lot of 50-50s that they wanted more and that they won, and it was just, you know, you get the games like that. We've had it before. Who was it? Fucking Mark Wright played for the other year when we got fucking
Crawley
knocked out.
On it.
Crawley and
Newport.
Didn't Newport do us twice? No, Newport did us when Ben White was playing from on loan, didn't he?
Yeah.
We got been beat by some absolute
Colchester. Spyrite. Histon
was obviously the FA Cup, and I mean, just on the cup, I've seen somebody. Here we go. It was Jive. That's bollocks. It being a shit cup. A cup is a cup. It gets our name on it, and it stamps as a bit more history, or else it's not worth competing. I'm very disappointed. I don't agree with that. I think it's bollocks. I don't think we've got any chance of winning any cups. When you look at the golfing class, we were shit in the Premier League, and you look at the sides in the Premier League, we've got absolutely zero chance of getting anywhere in that cup.
Yeah, but you also said that Ian Hart were a good left back, so you know.
I mean, he was good at free kicks, but he was
our James Ward-Prowse, wasn't he? Yeah,
Yeah.
useless footballer, but great on a free
Yeah.
kick. Until they changed ball, and then he couldn't do that either, and then we had to sack him off.
Yeah. Couple more comments, then let's fly through. Sorry, Skip, already done that one, mate. Andy, Shakhtar is a machine, proper utensil player.
I love that.
That's a bit of
Reference to one of our early podcasts there.
dig at Smarty there, the thick bastard. Venilin Kobachiev, losing to Miniscum is against our identity as a community. Do you think Farke wanted to ditch the tournament kind of on purpose? I don't think he did. I think he wanted to get through tonight.
Yeah,
But you don't play. You don't play that team tonight with, with any chance of going out the cup. You still think that team comfortably goes through.
And we brought Cini on.
It should have done.
There's no way he brings Cini on if he's not trying to get a win.
Yeah,
you don't risk him in that game.
No.
He's not Marsh bringing our only goal threat on 20 minutes from time in a game that we're already won. It was a change that was made to try and win that game. And as has been pointed out by plenty of people, I think there were plenty enough potency and threat in that side to get a victory tonight, and that shows in the stats that we had from the game.
Yeah, completely. Great point here from Top Banana, who's here every week. Welcome back, Top Banana. Glad we got through the night with no injuries. That was the important thing for me, and which is probably why we were all a little bit shocked with the starting lineup as well. It was nice to see him going through. I did wince a bit when Rutter went and did a bit of a backflip twirl, somersault 360.
Like an Hurricane challenge on him, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
and there was a point at which Gray went down as well, and I was like, "Oh, not him, not him."
So really important to get through, and some important game time for some players as well. Some of the players who your Shelders, your Cresswells, who I thought was good as well tonight, and a couple of others. Important to get them game time as well. Even over the course of the season, they're going to be called upon in the Championship, I should imagine. So,
it's decent for him to get game time against a player like Matt Smith, because you don't come up against a player that's going to dominate you in the air quite so obviously. I mean, they took him off and they brought on a 7'8" lad. But it's not often that you're gonna, as a young centre back, trying to make your way into side, that you're going to get to play against somebody that's going to dominate you like that. Quite often at this level, it's going to be pace, it's going to be turning, it's going to be whatever. The big lump up front probably isn't something that they're going to come up against a lot this season. So I think that's it's a bit of a learning experience for them as well. Go out there and don't get bullied by that big dirty fucker up front. And I do think they were all dirty tonight, by the way. But do you know what really frustrated me? With that little fucker on their wing being really dirty and nobody going back and giving him a dig.
Yeah.
Just fucking kick him back, for fuck's sake.
Sutton, that was one of the teams we lost against as well. Yeah. Fucking Christ. Couple more quick comments. Clive, welcome back, Clive. Nice to see you a little bit more positive. I don't think Dallo was great on their goal. I know it bounced in front of him, but I still think he should have said it. I probably agree with that. I thought it was. I don't think there was a lot of power. I don't think there was a lot of power behind the header. I think if he's positioned slightly better, I think he probably should be getting to that.
And we didn't really mention it, but one of those penalties went actually through his arms.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Jason O'Keefe, what is with all this hate with Rutter on Twitter? There's hate for everything and everyone on Twitter, Jason. Do not take it literally. There is some proper bell ends on there. Including us, yeah. But people will want to find somebody to blame. I'm in a group chat tonight that said Jamie Shackleton was shit. And tonight, so look, you just gotta take these things with a pinch of salt sometimes. I think otherwise you just get obsessed with it, don't you? Scooby, evening mate. Just on the poll, I put a poll up asking if anyone thought. So there's only 40 votes on that so far. So if you do want to make a point and tell us whether you thought it was a pen or a dive, it was currently sitting at 57% saying it was a pen and 43% saying it was a dive. Considering the majority of people in here are Leeds fans, that leads me to suggest that it probably was a bit more of a dive. What were your thoughts on that penalty?
For a pen. I thought he played for it. I thought he made a meal of it. but there's contact on both of his legs, and therefore that for me that's pretty stonewall. I think there were a couple of angles that made it look like there wasn't contact on his front knee, and it was only the left leg that he dangled that made contact. But they were clear from the other angle; it was dead clear that there was contact on both legs. And for me, yes, he's played for it because he's done his man, and then he's gone over the leg. But if you're a defender and you've slid in and you've not got the ball and you've got the man, that's a pen.
Yeah. Letter of the law says it's a pen. Do I want that to be a penalty? No, I absolutely don't. For any side in football, because I don't.
But you know it'd be given against us.
Absolutely, I just don't want people to play for pens. He leaves his leg out. He catches his trailing leg. So yeah, I think it was a pen. I don't think it should be a pen, but that's a different question, isn't it?
The balance to that equally is if we go back 2 seasons, Bamford turning around to a ref and saying, "Do I have to dive to get a pen?" when he's clearly been fouled and doesn't get the decision.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
As fans. Well, what I want to see is I want to see a fair, hard game. And I want to see an hard game. I played as a defender for years. I want to see an hard game. I want to see big tackles. I want to see them flying in at each other. I don't want the overly sanitized thing. But I want consistency. If it's going to be like that, I need it to be like that for everybody. They were flying in with some properly filthy late challenges tonight. And they were all getting away with it, pushes in the back, pushing him into stands and whatever else, properly getting away with it and being let off. Willie reacted once, clipped their man, got booked. It wasn't even just a free kick; he got booked for it, and that's the sort of shit that stinks.
Let's talk about the officiating. I thought it was poor for both sides, but I thought especially poor for us. It was I mean, the linesman as well. I just thought that for the penalty for Darlow when he came off his line and saved it, the linesman didn't even give that. Alex Cairns won that.
It was Cairns. Yeah, it absolutely
he ran towards the referee, and the lino had not even said anything. The bloke who was stood on the line with the flag said nothing, and then the referees obviously agreed.
He did get it wrong.
Absolutely.
I think it was one of them. He got overexcited. It was last penalty. It had to save it. Mm-hmm. He just got overexcited, and he did save it, but he got it wrong. He was miles off.
How many times are they those given really without VAR and stuff?
Yeah,
come on, man. I mean, yeah. Next one, Clive. Great point. Ex-Leeds keeper man of the match and ex-Leeds striker scores. Written in the stars. We all saw that, foresaw that. It was either that going to happen or we were going to absolutely spank. I mean, on another day, it probably would have ended in the latter. Bremner's Ghost. I was there as well at Histon. It was one of your worst away days ever. You lost and got the runs too. Sounds like a cracking day. Drive back from Cambridgeshire. With the runs, having to stop in every services or even not a services if you couldn't make it, I suppose. But Lindsay, what's more important is how long my dog is going to take to pee. Listening to the pod in the field, that's commitment. Are you peeing in a field? Oh, your dog's peeing in a field.
Dog's peeing. I hope.
Yeah, wicked. There was something else I wanted to talk about quickly before we sort of started closing up, and I've completely forgotten. Oh, that was it. So we're obviously, and I know the majority of this will probably be covered on tonight's show, so I don't want to go into it too much. But do we think we'll see a completely different outlook on the game, or will we continue to play the way we are? Fark's not going to change anything from that tonight, is it? Based on based on the result?
No. He's going to change personnel. He's not going to change it. We're starting to see the kind of philosophy he wants to play with, the kind of shape that he wants. We're starting to see that come out now. And I think that whatever happens from this point on, I think he's going to stick with that. And it'll be that thing that we haven't had since Bielsa, that there is an identity to the side, there is an expectation. Each player will know what they're expected to do because they're actually being coached. Those are the things that as fans we want to see. We want to see the players having a clue what the other players are doing, wanting the ball, wanting the possession, wanting to pass it, wanting the ball back, not just wanting the ball as a side, but each player looking for the ball. And under previous managers, we did, bless you, we had players hiding and we had whatever else going on. So I think we're starting to see what he wants from his players, and I don't think we'll move away from that once it's there. He might tweak slightly. He might play one holding midfielder slightly deeper or whatever else that transpires to be. But and personnel change. But I think that'll be about it. We're starting to see the settled lineup.
Yeah, and we've seen even with sort of 6 changes tonight. Against a lower opposition that it works. With lesser players in our starting 11 against lesser players that it does work. We saw it at Ipswich at the weekend as well. So yeah, I see like you say, personnel changes, but in terms of style, and I don't think he's the type of man to panic. We'll probably see a good reaction, a positive reaction, or we should see a positive reaction, and hopefully we beat them by fucking 10 goals or some of the bastards. Yeah, my mate.
Just on that,
yeah,
I know that we're a bit mixed as to whether this is a good thing for us or not. Nobody ever wants to watch their side lose, but actually on balance of it, when you take some of the emotion out of it, this might be right for us. They got beat by Mansfield. So it's not like they're coming off the back of a good result tonight into our game. They're still in a position where they've done fuck all this season.
They've not won a game this season. Oh, they must have won in the first round, did they?
They must have done to even be in that. But yeah, they've not won it league, and then they've got beat tonight by Mansfield. So
wow,
it's not like we've got beat in a tough game on penalties, and then they've sailed through their tie or anything like that. So it's not like they'll have some momentum that we don't have. If anybody's got the momentum, it's us coming off the back of our league results.
Yeah. That Topman and do smash the like. Apparently, it helps us somehow. Jay did some work on this the other day, and apparently, the more likes we get, the more people get to see us who don't normally get to see us. So please do hit like if you do like it. If you don't come back. We don't care.
Just the other bit on that is apparently anybody, whatever you say, anybody that goes and gives us a review, that all helps as well. So you might go on there and say, "Luke, you're fat and unfit. Gilly, you don't know what you're talking about." But that helps anyway. So just go and try and be nice. But if you don't want to be nice, say something.
Fine as well. And if you're not going to be nice, leave us your address. Few more funny
Luke on a match day.
Yeah, I can't. But the amount of people I've had to I don't know. Anyway, Clive T. He got banned from Twitter for calling Graham Smith a specky twat. So Clive, you're one of us now, mate. You are one of us. Welcome to the madhouse. Danny Rumsey, always a bit what's the
controversial?
Word? Controversial, yeah. It was a dive. I absolutely disagree. Contact was made and he's played for it, but it wasn't a dive. It said only a dive if there's no contact.
Yes, I would agree with that. A dive is simulation, and he didn't simulate contact. There was contact. So playing for it is different to an all-out dive where there's no contact.
Yeah, completely agree. So we'll agree to disagree on that one, Danny. But you did still say we are going to finish 16th. I noticed on Joe's podcast the other day, which after the Ipswich result. So you stand by it, mate. After Ipswich. So
Ipswich fans were saying that we were going to walk the league and there were going to be nobody that touches us. Now we've got Pirro.
Yeah. Did you see the comment? Or did you hear the comment? Sorry, from Michael Brown before the game.
No.
He said. Something blah 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 blah, and he was on about the all the loans that had gone out and the signings we'd made and everything. And he said around the financial problems, and I use inverted commas here, the financial problems they're in at the minute.
All I can think there, the only thing coming to mind, because we've brought 27 million between Adams and Rodrigo going, 24 and 3 million, I think, between them, or respectively. All I can think is he's saying that we must be in financial difficulties to let so many go on loan.
I don't think he's done any research, has he?
That's just not the point. They've not gone on loan because we had to get them off the books. They've gone on loan because they had loan deals in their contracts.
The clauses, yeah. So I think he probably just hasn't done any research. Like the majority of pundits do when they're talking about Leeds United. So
yeah, and we like to be balanced. The fact that he's got a penis, and instead of other people saying stupid stuff when they don't have penises, they all get it both barrels.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They're
all
dickheads. Silly twat as well.
Yeah. Andy says, great bit of advice here for Andy. Stay off Twitter unless you like arguing.
Well, that's me and you both on Twitter then.
That which takes me on nicely to my next comment. Fat and Unfit, brought to you by the pie-eating, pint-drinking reviewer. Yeah, there you go. There's your honourable mention. There's your 5 minutes of fame. Danny Rumsey says, it would be very Leedsy if we got beat on Saturday by a team that hasn't won a game yet.
Would.
Absolutely. And I said as much to him, mate. I went to a gig with him yesterday. It was a big Chef Wednesday fan. He's a season ticket holder, and I said, "Look, if you don't win, it's been the worst start, I believe, for any championship side ever."
Wow.
I don't think any team's ever lost their first 5. I know there was a few lost. I think there was 11 lost the first 4, and only 4 of that 11.
If they don't win against us, it's been the worst.
If they don't, if they don't get a point or win, I think if they lose against us,
right,
then I think it's the worst start from any championship side ever.
Wow. That's the thing, isn't it?
I could well be wrong there. Please do correct me if I am wrong. But yeah, that's the that was the feeling I got. I think it was something I read, something along those lines. Apparently we're skint because we're not doing a Chelsea spending 800 million a year. Absolutely. Matthew says, welcome, Matthew. I don't remember seeing you here before, so welcome to the podcast. A vague reference to financial problems is appropriate about 93% of the time for all clubs. Fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, he just took a wild stab in the dark then and thought, actually, football club Leeds, they've been in trouble before. We'll say, yeah, why not? Given
the comment from Scooby there, penises. I must have missed some. I'm not asking. I was just talking about Karen Carney, who I don't know specifically which genitals they have. I might be getting this wrong, but I just assume
he's digging.
Joe Cole in a wig in it and bad makeup. But no, we dig out people that talk shit, and she talks shit, but then Michael Brown did as well, so they all get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is here's another comment just from.
I was just about to hit that one.
Did you hear the stat that we've conceded the first goal in every single game we've played so far this season?
Have we really? Even in the cup games?
Yeah.
Well, obviously today, who did we play in the cup? Shrewsbury. Yeah, fucking hell, we did.
They scored first against us as well.
I hope we don't give up the first goal on Saturday because we almost know that we've got enough to get back. Look at Ipswich, for instance, which their first goal shouldn't have stood, arguably. But yeah, we've obviously got enough firepower to keep coming back and everything. But it's just you just put yourself on the back foot immediately, don't you? It make the game harder for yourself straight away. But I don't know what do we fancy going back?
Going back.
Sorry, do we fancy we will go on the back foot and be a goal behind?
He's looking for that formula, isn't he? He's looking for that formula and that balance of keeping the attacking potency while being a bit more defensively structured. He's still looking for that. I think with the players, here's a question. You spoke about Cresswell and said you thought he had a good game. Stroik was captain, scored, made one mistake, but generally had a decent game. It's unlikely that they both start the next game. So who keeps their shirt? Is that Stroik or is that Cresswell?
Yeah, it's got to be. He's got to be. He's been our best defender this season. And somebody said to me, we've conceded 9 goals in 5 games or something. That's like picking my favourite serial killer or something like that. And I was like, well, no, because the majority of our chances have come from being poor on the flanks against us. We've been relatively solid. And I think Pascal's been our best, not our best player this season, but certainly defensive in terms of all the defenders that have played. He's been, he dictates the tempo. He takes a bit of sting out the game when it needs to. He's got a mistake in him. He has. He's 23, 24 now.
24. Yeah, just on 24. I looked earlier.
But look, centre backs realistically don't actually learn their craft until sort of later on. They don't. They're almost like maybe not as late as goalkeepers, but
no, but late 20s they peak.
Yeah, they peak much further on. And to have a player that's had so much experience in various positions in the Premier League for a number of seasons with us, I said right at the start, before the start of the season, that he was going to be imperative to how our season went this season. I thought it was going to be really, really important to us. So, I think those people slated him. Look, from one mistake, you can do that, but what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to do that about for every player for every game, you're going to literally hate Leeds United within like a week. So everyone makes mistakes, don't they? So fuck it. I mean,
there are a few fans around that hate Leeds as much as
as
anything else.
There are.
But we expect Rodon to slide straight back in. We're saying.
Yes, Rodon starts. I mean, we'll probably cover most of this on tomorrow night's pod. Yeah. So if you do want to join us, we will be back tomorrow. But yeah, we'll probably cover the majority of that. There was a couple more quick comments. I just saw. There we go, Scooby. This system with suicide fullback would still leave us mullered in the Premier League. We're still a counter-attacking team's wet dream. Pick any 4 defenders in the world and they'd struggle with this system. What do you make of that?
I do agree with that. I think any team that... So I think back to Cardiff and the fact that they just kept playing the ball out of play when they were trying to switch it because they just weren't good enough at passing the ball. And you do that against a Premier League team that are going to ping a pass and it's going to be fine. Then they're going to be away and in behind you. We would get torn apart, I think. But being realistic with the personnel that we've got and the sides that we're going to come up against, I think it's one of those where risk and reward. The higher up the pitch you can play, the more likely you are to do damage when you get the ball. But you do leave yourself light at the back. So I think we need to get. I think we need to get ready for a long season of some stress when we've got Sam Byron picking up 2 wingers and then Ayling picking up 2 wingers, dependent on which their focus has gone to, so that they can switch the ball across to. But I just think that's the system we're going to play, and we just need to get used to it. It is going to be difficult for them, but the offset is when we've got the ball, we're going to look to move it forward quickly. We saw tonight there was some incisive passing that went through the middle. It got switched out to the wings well, and then the ball's across low and hard. And I think that's probably the way that we are setting up to play. And if we can do that quickly enough, when we do win the ball, then we're going to come out on top more often than not. I think that's the point.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. Yeah, and with the level of players we've got against the level of opposition, it's like anything. Pep Guardiola's team, if he didn't have those players, would if he had a lower league side and played his style, his team would get peppered week in, week out.
Yeah.
You make do with what you've got. It's almost like you can't play a certain level of football without a certain level of player, and it's quite simply put like that. But I just saw a really stupid comment. Here we go. Salford. Well, look, well done, mate. You either live in Salford or support Salford. So look, crack on, mate. You know
just hate Leeds.
Yeah.
It's just a bastard.
But one or two others. Yeah, a bit more the Pascal Supporters Club and the Pascal Fan Club here. Just ordered away shirt with 21 strike on the back. Gilly is a big fan of Pascal as well. Pascal the Pirate. Charles, do we not think we need another centre-back? An injury to Rodon, and we look young again. But we've also got Coops, haven't we?
We have got Coops. And do you know what? Ayling can do a job at this level if we brought in a right back. He's good enough to be cover, So... I don't think that needs to be a priority for us. The fact, we needed Rodon. We did need Rodon. Somebody that can get the foot on the ball, is happy to step into midfield with it and spray it about, but he's a bit of a calm head, and clearly, he's good in the air, he's good in the tackle. So I think we really needed him. And I will temper that with the fact he's good at this level. I haven't seen enough of him at a better level yet, but I think he's more than enough at this level. But if we do get an injury to him, you hope it won't be a lengthy one.
Yeah. I don't think that's the most important. Actually, here's a good question for you, because I'm not going to answer this because I'm sure it's something that we'll cover tomorrow with deadline day coming up. But where and how do you think we do strengthen them before the end of the window?
I think there'll be a bit of egg on faces if we don't land at least one midfielder, and if that's not Kamara, then it'll be strange. It's looking like Jed Spence is close to being finalised. I would like a left back, but do you know what? I think the point's been made a few times. We were absolutely crying out for a 9. 100%, absolutely crying out for a goal threat that can carry that goal threat, carry the side forward, and will dominate. And I think Perot will do that. If you look at the signings that we've made, Ampadu slotted in like he's been with us for years. Rodon looks like he's a decent player. Darlow, for me, the jury's still out. He's got a bit of experience behind him. I think he's just struggled with the start. So I think he'll be okay. I think they've got it the right way around because there were a lot of calls for Melia to be dropped. But seeing Darlow tonight, he didn't cover himself in glory. He didn't have much to do on balance of that. But so I think, and then, we brought Farker in. So if you just step back and look at, right, okay, who's been the most successful Championship manager in recent season, in the last 3 seasons? Well, I'd say that arguably that's Farker. Who's been the best striker in the last 2 seasons at this level? Well, that's Perot. And then you look at 44 games is it for Wales at 22 years old?
Yeah,
and knows this level in Ampadu. And we've signed a Premier League player on loan at centre back. I think if we add in even 1 or 2, it's really, really difficult, especially if we keep all
yeah. That's where I was going to go with it.
All of our attacking players to beyond the end of the window. I think it's really, really difficult to not call this about as good as we could have got it.
No, I'd completely agree. Ideally, we need a left back and somebody to play in there who could do either Ampadu's or Gray's job as either backup. But I don't want somebody to come in and upset the apple cart and think they're getting a starting shirt, because I don't think those two deserve to be dropped unless one of them is injured. I think ideally I would like to 10. Now Amir is obviously decided that he doesn't like Beeston or Boston Spa, so he's
no. Did you not see the update from Phil Hay tonight?
I don't know, maybe not.
Leeds flew him over.
I've seen that, yeah.
And in the discussions, they were just asking for more and more stupid stuff. So they went, all right, fuck it, we're not having you then, and you can make your own way home.
I love that. Fucking love that.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is symptomatic again of the way that 49ers are going about this business, and the way that Farker's going about this business is, if you want to play for us, fine. And if you don't want to play for us, off you go.
I respect that, though. I'd rather have that than just, bowing down to every demand that these footballers think that they deserve now. But I think the positive out of that is that we have been looking at a proper 10 type midfielder.
Yeah.
So I still think there's going to be. I still think that we're going to bring 4 in before Friday. And I'm not going to go into it because I'm sure we'll probably cover it tomorrow.
No, that's fair. But I think, we spoke about left back, fine, and it looks like there's a midfielder, and it looks like the right back is pretty much sorted already. Anything beyond that, I think fans always want more.
Yeah, of course they do.
but that is a very, very, very good transfer window. If you look at what we've lost, and out of all of the players that have gone out, was it 12, 14 players gone out? We've only made money on 3 of them, and one of them were 400,000. So I think tempering that as fans, it's a very, very good window that we've had. Yeah,
and look, I think even just getting Pirro in is a massive. I mean, with this team this year would hammer the team last year.
Yeah,
already.
Yeah. I firmly believe that.
And I think we're going into it relatively positive. Couple more questions and bits and pieces. What time tomorrow night, lads? Top Banana, as always, 8:30-ish. That's all I'll say, because roughly. We don't have a clue. Dave, is the new manager any good? I don't know where you're coming from, if you've not seen us or what, but yeah.
Well, he has says, is Leeds' new manager any good? So I wonder if that's somebody that's landed on a Leeds podcast that's not a Leeds fan.
No, welcome though. But we seem to like him. I don't know. In a word, he's brought an authoritarian sort of leadership back to what we've had, and the players don't seem to fuck about. He seems to get what he wants, and he seems to be doing saying the right things for me, Gilly, in a nutshell.
Yeah, I would agree, and those bits around that we've just mentioned around, if a player don't want to be here, he's not here, and when Willie was saying he's not playing, right, okay, then you can go train on your own, you can go eat on your own, you can get away from us. So I don't know. We're okay, Dave. Dave, kiss.
Is Dave? Anyway, Dave.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
we're
welcome
all
along,
Dave. So one or two more little bits. Russ Vernon, hot news off the press. He's been told that his medical's been passed, and obviously we'll be joining up. Yeah, great stuff, Russ. Thank you ever so much for the updates, mate. As always, big friend of OKB. And I think that's about it, really. I don't really have much more to say. We've got through. Fuck knows how I managed to talk for an hour and 10 minutes about about drilling Salford and still not winning the game, but we have. And yeah, Andy sums it up for me. A great pod as always. Fuck the cups. Let's just piss the league. Let's get back to our MO from this Saturday and not let this result have any effect really on the rest of the season for me. I don't think it will. I think they they appreciate that that it's the magic of the cup and let them have that.
No, never mind. Let them have that. They're still scummers. They can fuck off.
Yeah, let them.
HMS piss the leagues back on. No. Pirro comes back in hat-trick against Wednesday, and we're fine. No bother.
Pirro tonight, and we piss it. No Pirro, no party.
No party.